Hi, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started, but welcome to the DCM Open House, and thank you for joining. Happy New Year. This is our first open house of 2026. So today's session is a 30-minute walkthrough of the new data certification feature in Data Content Manager, and we'll show you how that works, what problems it solves, and how you can use it to validate and trust your data. Anytime during the chat, please feel free to jump in with any Q&A. Then after the presentation, feel free to stick around for any questions you might have about data certification or DCM. I'll go ahead and hand it over to our product owner, Miko, and he'll lead the demo. So we'll go ahead and get started.
All right. So welcome everybody on my behalf as well. And we'll start with the quick introduction to the topic. So I'll show you a couple of slides about how DCM works and what we have done already before, basically in the previous session. And then most of the time we'll focus on the data certification demo, and we'll do that live. And the idea is that we would mainly use this 25 minutes, 30 minutes to the demo, and then in the end, at least I'm going to stay here if there is more questions and if you want to discuss something. But let's try to keep the demo on the 25 minutes. So what we did previously, it was more of a generic introduction to Data Content Manager. And in this session, I'm not going to repeat all the same steps, but we more like continue from the previous demo. So if you haven't seen DCM before, I highly recommend looking at the recording. You can use the QR code, or maybe Chris can put the link into the chat. But that's like a 20-minute, 30-minute recording from the previous open house. But today we are still kind of utilizing this systematic process and just adding more things to it. And last time, as always, we created a blueprint and kind of defined the requirements there. And when it comes to data certification, it's the same. So the blueprints define the requirements for the certification. Then you run audits as usual, and from the audits you get all the normal compliance percentages and audit messages. But with the data certification, you also get these sort of recurring tasks to validate your data. And previously, we basically checked the design and audit part, and then looked at the workspace for personal metrics and remediation activities. And today, we will show you how to do the data certification configuration part. So what you need to do in addition to the blueprint, and then how to do the actual data certification work in the workspace. And the use case in today's demo is again focusing on business applications, and that's probably the most common area for doing this kind of certification work. And we're using one of the CSDM5 templates as a starting point for the business application with like minor modifications. And when thinking about the different personas that are kind of relevant for this demo, we'll start with the data architect. So he can be like a CMDB owner, an enterprise architect, ServiceNow architect, or maybe process owner manager. And he has already defined the blueprint, so that's done. And now we will just configure the certification part. Then the domain owner, so for business applications, it would be the portfolio owner or application portfolio owner. And in this demo, she doesn't have a big role or doesn't play a big role. We will take a look at some reports at the end, but basically the domain owner should monitor the data certification task completion and then provide support for the domain data providers if needed. And then the data providers in this case are the IT application owners, and they will complete the certification tasks in the data quality workspace. So that's what we are going to cover in the demo. And here is the blueprint. I just wanted to highlight certain things, and I will show you this in the demo part. But worth mentioning is that this blueprint includes relationships to the service instances, and then the service instance records also have some requirements. So the blueprint starts from the business application, but in the certification, we are also checking some details from the underlying service instance records and kind of show you how that works. And that's it for the kind of intro. Then let's jump into the demo. And I will first show you how to get these kind of tasks into the workspace, and then how to work with these tasks when you are there. So let's start from here. Now, in our demo environment, this is the blueprint I'm using for the data certification. And what I already said on the slides, this service instance here also has a couple of attributes that need to be certified. Then there is some more on the business application record itself. So this is where we kind of start the certification. And these dotted lines here are a little bit special. So maybe this is more for example, but I added some conditions that we only need to certify the managed by group and support group for production service instances. So it's not required for non-production environments. So you'll see how that works. But this part is already done. So next, we're going to do the certification configuration. This is the DCM homepage where you would go to the Blueprint Designer and different places. And here we also have a link to the certification task configurations. And I have already created one, but let's see what it contains. So on the top of the form, we just have name and description. There you can describe what you need to do and when. Then the first thing you need to select is the blueprint. So which blueprint is the basis for this certification? And then on the right-hand side, we have the frequency. This is defined in number of days. How often? So once a year is 365 days. And then you can set the start date. And this means that whenever when you're running the audits in the background, like every week, then as soon as you run an audit after the start date, it will create the first tasks, and then 365 days later, it will create the second set of tasks for the same blueprint and so on. Then of course, you define the assignees. So we are assigning the tasks to the IT application owner and also to the managed by group members. You can set some defaults if you want to, but now those are empty. And then with this audit message condition, we can limit the certification if we want to. And as an example, I've said here that the info messages that the audit might generate are not part of the certification. So if the info messages are more considered optional elements, then we don't need to certify them. And then one thing is the instructions at the bottom. So this is something where you can provide instructions to the assignees, describe what they need to do, maybe have some links to additional details or how to get help. And then I put also a video here so you can see that you can provide more info as a video as well. So now that this is available, it's active, we have the blueprint and everything, then you run an audit. Using this scheduled audit, it runs every week. I ran this before the session so that we don't have to wait for the audit to complete. And now we have new audit results, new reporting, everything, but we also have these new certification tasks. So now I'm switching over from the data architect to the data provider or an application owner. And again, this is my personal data quality dashboard. Here I can see all the results. Let's just focus on the business application part. And what is new from last time is this my certification tasks. So I have 21 tasks still open. And if I click it, then it will give me this kind of a grid view where first I will see the tasks that are already in progress, something I've started with, and then the rest of my tasks. And I can, well, use some very simple filters for based on the status, or I can search for records. So in the previous demo, we kind of audited and remediated this CyberX application, and now it's here for certification. So let's look at some of
quick
them.
question. Just a quick question from the chat. Is it possible to do relative frequency so then that all 300 business apps are certified on one day in the year?
Well, good question. Not really, but it's relative in a sense that for that one application, the kind of frequency applies. That if you audit some of the records today, then they will get these tasks, and then when you run the same audit with the bigger scope tomorrow, it will only create the new tasks for the kind of new applications that are in scope, but not really set in a way that you would kind of spread the workload across the year or anything like that. But that's a nice idea anyway, so thanks for that. But yeah, so let's start with one of these that are in progress. So the Data Content Manager application is here. Let's click Certify, and this is now the data certification view or page. So on top we have some tallies showing that 6 items are already certified, 6 are open, none are rejected. This is the business application I'm certifying. And then the ones that have this like a green background are already certified. And then the ones that are white, I can still either reject or certify. So the name is Data Content Manager. Yes, I can say yes. And then, well, business owner, Pekka is, yeah, that's correct. And I'm the application owner, yes. So this is how you kind of certify the data that is already okay and there is no issues. Maybe we can say that this data providers group is wrong. So I can say that, okay, should be a different group and reject it. Then it shows as red. And so on. I will kind of continue. Then if I want to kind of fix the issues or change the data, I can use this pencil icon here. So I don't have any service instances related to this. So I will add at least one like ServiceNow instance here to the production. And well, let's say test and dev2. So I can also remediate issues which the kind of audit has found and there is no value. And now I kind of fixed the data and certified it at the same time. So that's kind of one way to do it. Then let's look at another. Well, let's take the CyberX. And here we now have the CyberX application and all the related details. So nothing has been certified. And then this is already connected to the 3 service instances. So then we have each of those instances listed on this page as well. So the CyberX test, and for the test, we don't have the support group, but then for production, it should be here, yes. So if you remember from the blueprint that production environments need to have managed by group and support group, so it's showing here, but it doesn't show for the other environments. And when we look at these different records, I can expand and collapse them. And then for every record, I can click this green icon on top to certify all the details. So for the test, I think those are correct. So I can say that's all done. And then in the same way, I could do the kind of production and test. So either you can certify all the details for that one record, or you can do it one by one. And that's about it. So when I when I complete these tasks, then they of course disappear from my list, and then the data domain owner can follow up the progress from the dashboards. So let's take a look at that next. So now switching over to the portfolio manager and looking at my data domain dashboard. On the audit results, well, that's where you see the normal audit results and how things are progressing there. But then on the tasks page, we have now a new section here. So first we show reports related to the remediation tasks. So these are the ones that you do when you want to fix things and let people know about them. And then if you scroll down, there is another section for the certification tasks. And I don't have a lot of data here in this instance, but some high-level numbers about how many tasks have been created, how many of them are still open, and then how many certification entries are created under the tasks. And this is maybe a little bit special. So these entries are only created when a person opens the task for the first time. So we don't create all these entries in the audit runtime, but they are created when you open the tasks. But anyway, it will show you that from the tasks that are already in progress, there is like half of the work is done and half is still missing. And then some basic reports about when the tasks were created, who are they assigned to, and what are the kind of statuses for the open ones.
So another question for you. Sorry to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Someone asked, can the certification task generation be dynamic? Is there any AI component built around it? For example, certification tasks are generated only when there's a change in one of the key attribute values we are auditing. This should be generated without manual intervention from the CMDB owner. This would make data certification a continuous improvement process inside the CMDB rather than one-time yearly activity.
Yeah, another great question. So maybe at this point, it's good to mention that this is now the very first release for the data certification capability in DCM. And we already have we already have a roadmap for the product on how we plan to kind of further develop it, and not sure if it's going to be exactly what the person asked about, but we are definitely planning to create this sort of more dynamic approach that you could, for example, only ask to certify the changed data. Because we are already collecting this information in the background that what elements have been certified and when, so we can use that to create these sort of delta certifications. But that's not part of the current release, but something planned for the future. Yes. And well, it seems I was quite fast with the demo, but that's basically what I wanted to show you today. So quite simple, especially when you already have the blueprints. You just create this certification config, and then people will start to get the new certification tasks, and they will see all the things they need to certify on one page. That's kind of the main idea. But do we have any further questions?
Yeah, so I see Troy's raising his hand there, and one I'll throw out as well. Just so I know we wanted to cover it was kind of the big question that's come up is why would I use the data certification in DCM instead of the out of the box option? And then we'll jump over to Troy's question.
So Chris, sorry, can you repeat what you asked?
Yeah, why would I use DCM's data certification instead of the out of the box option that comes, within ServiceNow?
Yeah, of course, quite natural question. So, well, now with the data certification as part of DCM, we kind of see that it now completes the whole product suite. So you have all in one in this DCM application. So, and you can certify any data on the platform, so not only CIs. But the big difference is, and kind of why to use DCM instead of ServiceNow Artbox, is that it's based on the blueprints. So it's quite easy to define and also explain the requirements, especially when you have relationships. And the other thing is that the DCM certification includes the relationships. So you see the kind of related records on your certification page and not only the attributes for your business application. Yeah, maybe those are the main reasons why or how it's different and why I would use DCM instead of Outbox.
Sure. And I'm going off the hand raising. If you have your hand raised, if you can put it in the chat, because I actually don't have the ability to unmute you, but we definitely will answer your questions if you have them. So sorry for any confusion there.
Yeah, did we like disable the mic entirely so that no one can unmute? Yeah, sorry about that. I think that is the case.
What if I unmute myself? Sorry, do you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, thank you.
I don't know how it works. Anyways, hi everyone. Sorry, maybe a weird question, but still, in regards to the out-of-the-box functionality, is there anything on your UI within your suite that allows attesting CIs before certifying them? Attesting meaning confirming that the actual asset is there.
Not yet. So that's also something we've planned for the future. So we decided to focus on the certification part first, and then kind of implement the attestation part on top of that, so that you could decide, do you only want to attest or kind of in a way approve the record that, okay, yes, this belongs to me and it's a valid record that requires certification. But now we just have the certification part.
How far is it on your timeline, if you may share that?
Well, I should have had this like forward-looking statement slide somewhere, but we plan to kind of continue improving and enhancing this certification capability still this year. Already in the next release, we'll do something, and I'd say for the next 2 releases, we continue to kind of improve the data certification based on the customer feedback, of course. But even without any feedback, we already have a few items on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so Roman was able to speak, but Troy is not.
I might be able to. I didn't try.
Oh, yes, you are.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Troy.
My question was, and I probably just missed it, when you were going through the attestation piece, there was a green box and a red box. I didn't see a pencil by those. So even though there is data there, if that data is incorrect, can it be corrected there as well?
Yeah. So yes, you see that these elements only have the red and green, and
Right.
then okay, in this example, I don't have any with the pencil, but the pencil part is now available for the non-compliant data. So if some of the details are wrong based on the audit, then you can fix it. But if the audit thinks that it's compliant, then you can only accept or reject. And that's one of the things that will be in the next release for sure, that we enable editing the data for the compliant elements as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, because at least on our end, we have data that is there, but it may or may not be correct.
Yeah. So maybe I can show an example somewhere. No, this doesn't have any. Yeah, but the reason is that we are using the same sort of remediation component that we have when you need to fix things on this certification page. And previously we haven't remediated the compliant data. So those were not available, but we are kind of adding them to the workspace soon-ish. All right.
All right, looks like
we have more questions.
Yeah, more questions. Looks like two. So can fix approvers, non-ITLT users leverage the certification task similar to regular tasks in the workspace?
Yes, they can. And now I need to be careful, or maybe I need to check before answering. So we can get back to this later. But yes, you can work on the tasks with the kind of workspace user roles. You don't need additional ServiceNow roles to do the certification. What you do need is read access to the data that you're certifying, but that should be enough. Yeah, and if you need to fix something like what is broken, then it uses the same mechanism as the remediation part. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that's how it is done.
Yeah. And then we have one other question that says, what will be preferable for resolution of completeness, correctness, compliance defects if the CMDB has huge data and you want data owners to take ownership rather than the CMDB team approaching them for fixing the gaps? Out of the box health dashboard or DCM recertification tasks? That's a great question.
Yeah. So, well, all in all, what DCM is really all about is kind of getting people involved in the data management activities. And I think that's one of the biggest differentiators also for the kind of out-of-the-box tools, that you let the data owners, domain owners define the requirements and create the blueprints. And then on the blueprint, you define who should fix this data. So maybe I can show that. So for the blueprint, well, this is now a new version for editing, but when you publish the blueprint, you define the providers, and this is dynamic configuration, meaning that whoever is the IT application owner is the one who should fix the data as well. So it's not the CMDB team, not the enterprise architect team who is asked to fill in all the details for the business applications, but it's more like the business people who are responsible for the applications. So the workspace, it also includes this data quality and remediation part. We didn't go through today, but if you want to see how it works, I recommend checking the previous recording where we look at the remediation part.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in and add that one way we've described this component that you're seeing today in this presentation is kind of the missing piece, the full circle part of our product. So we'd be happy to set up a demo and go in more depth, or if you want to stick around for the next 30 minutes, or we're going to go over some more things. So please.
Yeah, definitely. That was the kind of last slide here, that if you want to have a more private discussion and talk more about DCM, feel free to book a demo. That's basically connected to my calendar. So I'll be there going through whatever you want to. Okay, so that was the kind of first look at the data certification feature in DCM. Already good questions and ideas on how to make it even better. And that's what we plan to do. But if you want to see how it works now, you can start a trial or give us a call and we'll do a private demo. So thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next time.